Well folks, we got us a couple serviceberry trees here with some real crooked trunks. But not to worry, this can be corrected. We can straighten these trunks right out. The important thing to know is the sooner you get to it, the better. Definitely want to get to them before they're leafing out and growing. This technique, I use a double T-post method with a cross brace across it, and we'll pull the tree trunk straight and get it growing and training off right this spring. In the order of growth, we're going to leaf out first, then our twigs are going to start to grow, our shoots will elongate, and then after that we'll form our wood. So the sooner you get to it, the better. These things are going to turn out just fine, and after 1 year of wearing braces, they'll have nice straight trunks, just like you got nice straight teeth. First thing I'm going to do is pound it in a second post in line with the first one. Then I'm going to measure this distance and cut my brace out. For the brace, I'm using a piece of 2x4. It can be any type of 2x. 2x6s are real good, especially when you cut a little notch out for the tree trunk in a 2x6. We got 2 notches to fit the T-posts, and we got a hole drilled in each end to tie it to the T-posts. We're going to butt the tree up against the tree post, tie off with some heavy duty twine or some rope, use a trunk protector so you don't scar the trunk of the tree, and we're going to get this lower section somewhat straightened out first, and we'll secure it off. Now I'm going to do the same thing and pull the top half straight. Put our trunk protector on and pull it straight. Wow, a lot better already. We'll wrap it off and tie it off. We now have a straight tree trunk. Doesn't matter how deep you pound your T-post, it'll never be strong enough. As soon as you pull on it, the tree post will bend. As soon as you pull on the twine, the T-post will bow right in. Doesn't matter how deep you pound this, it'll never be strong enough. You have to have the cross member. You could make a steel cross member, but wood is the fastest and easiest. And this can be done anywhere. This can be done after the tree's been planted. Doesn't have to be in a container. If you get your tree home and it looks crooked, or if the snow came and bowed it over real bad, you have to use this technique to straighten it back out. A heavy post on one side, a heavy post on the other, a cross brace, and then use some heavy duty strapping to pull your trunk straight. You gotta get to it while the tree's young. Once it's over 2 to 3 inch calipers, it's a pain in the ass. You'd be spending more money on posts and structures than you would be on a new tree. So get to it young and get to it early, before it leaves out and start growing. This needs to stay on for 1 full season. This time next year, this can all come off, and the trunk will be held straight. Here's a couple of 2-inch autumn blaze I did last year. These are a 2-inch trunk caliper, bigger tree in a 25-gallon container. I had 2 that got messed up by the ice and leaned over real bad. This guy I used a 2x6 just because it was laying around, and I cut the arch out of it. This is a great idea to arch around the tree trunk. Then you can line up with your 2 posts directly dead center with the trunk and cut the arch out so you don't interfere with the trunk. This one was done spring of last year and it looks really good now. That top was bowing way away, and by securing the bottom and anchoring it off to this post, I was able to pull the trunk right straight again. We're not leaning the tree, we're straightening the trunk. If you just had a leaning tree, a tree post on one side should straighten it right back out. But if you have a crook in the trunk, you got to use the double post method and the cross member, and she'll straighten right up. This can now come off and this tree will remain straight. There's 2 things that are happening here. One's a physical thing, one's a horticultural thing. Anything left under a torsional load, like a bow or an arch, will begin to assume that shape over time. So as time progresses, we're going to have physics on our side, pulling the wood straight. And as that sits for a year, that's to our benefit. The second thing is a horticultural thing. You've probably heard of summer wood growth. Trees grow wood in the summertime. Different from you and I, that can only grow it in the morning, if we can grow it at all. So we have physics on our side and horticulture on our side. There's no pill needed for this technique, just a little bit of strength, a little bit of time, and a little bit of horticulture. This first one I'm slightly overbending to the left. That second one I'm slightly overbending to the right. This is taking advantage of the physical thing. As time goes on, we'll check this and see if we need to slacken off. If it bows right back around we'll leave it extra taut on this side, especially as we go into summer and put our wood growth on. That's the most critical thing, is having this done before the summer's wood growth. A lot of people think the job's over after you plant the tree because the work's done, but that's a misconception. You gotta think of it like having a baby. Just because you had the baby doesn't mean the job's done, when in reality the work's just beginning. You gotta train these things just like you train a kid, and the first few years are the most important. You gotta get it off to a good start. So don't be afraid to straighten your tree out just like you straighten your kid out. It worked for me, and it works for my trees. So don't be afraid to get the rope out and tie them up. Sometimes it's just what they need.